Hello dear students. So this is the ninth lecture, that is nutrient use efficiency. This is also the continuation of that crop nutrition and manures and fertilizers. Okay, so these all nutrient related aspects or the lectures what you are listening, these come under the same umbrella of nutrient management. Okay, so let's get started. This is a small chapter, so I'll be taking up. So nutrient use efficiency, what does this actually mean? Efficiency means what? Efficiency is nothing but how effective or how well a particular plant can do well, right? So let's take example of human beings only. If I am reading for 1 hour, then how effectively I am reading or how efficiently I am reading there. So that talks about the capacity of human being, that how well he can manage. Similarly, in plants, nutrient use efficiency, it is a measure, like we can measure it in the field. It is to measure how well plants use the available mineral nutrient. Say for example, if nitrogen is present means if 100 kg of nitrogen is present in the soil, then whether all the 100 kg of nutrient or the nitrogen will be utilized by the plant? No. Only say for example some 50%, say 50 kg, just a minute. Okay, sorry. So if 100 kg of nitrogen is present in the soil, what happens if this amount of nitrogen is present, not the entire 100 kg of nutrient will be utilized. Why? Because there will be many different losses of the nutrient that we have already learned, like you must have learned that removal by the crop and leaching losses, denitrification, ammonification. So these are the different losses of nitrogen. Similarly, for any other nutrient, there will be losses of a particular nutrient. If you take phosphorus, that will get attached to the clay mineral, or that will get immobilized, or that will be fixed by the microorganism. So there will be so many losses other than the taking up by the plant. So if 100 kg of nitrogen is present means not the entire amount will be utilized by the plant. Say 50 kg, only 50 kg is utilized by the plant, and remaining 50 kg of the nutrient will go waste, will go as a loss, right? So it is telling about the efficiency of the plant, like how well the plant can utilize these available mineral nutrient. Okay, so it can be defined, it can be put up in a formula like economic yield divided by nutrient applied. Economic yield means what? The yield which is of importance to us. Say if we take rice crop, means which is the important or economic part for us? Grain, obviously. If you take any fodder crops like guinea grass or any other sorghum, sorghum is jawar, which is fed to animals. If you take such crop, means the entire plant is economic yield, right? So economic yield is nothing but which is of importance to us. Alright, so this nutrient use efficiency can be given as economic yield in kg per hectare divided by nutrient applied. Okay, it can be calculated for any nutrient. You can calculate for nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, or say any micronutrient also you can calculate. Okay, I'll just take an example here and explain you. So let's take maize crop. Okay, maize is mokkajonna or mekkejola. So maize crop per hectare, if we are harvesting 2 ton, just I am giving you example. 2 ton means what? You have to convert it to kgs. So 1 ton is 1000 kg, so 2 tons it will be 2000 kg. And we will calculate for nitrogen. And nitrogen, how much we have applied? Okay, nitrogen, say if we are applying 150 kg, 150 kg we have applied. So you can calculate the nitrogen use efficiency specifically, right? 2000 divided by 150. Okay, so just cut it. 5 3s are 5, 40s are 5 1s are 5 8s are. That means only 8% or not 8%, you can put up in percentage. So 8 into yeah, this works out to be 8% only. So only 8% is the nitrogen use efficiency in maize crop. Okay, so they don't get confused here. I'm just giving you an example like how it is done. Alright, so you can calculate for nitrogen or phosphorus or potassium, any nutrient you can calculate here. I hope you are understanding this use efficiency. Okay, now there are certain practices which should be followed for fertilizer application. Why I am giving you these practices? Because what happens when we are applying the fertilizer effectively, then only plant can utilize the nutrient efficiently. So that is why there are certain practices which we have to follow, so that nutrient which is made available to the plant, that is taken up very efficiently. Okay, so as I have told you while calculation also, that fertilizer application is based on the soil testing. Soil testing means what? They will evaluate the amount of nutrient which is present in the soil. So based on that, fertilizer recommendations will be given, and similarly based on that basis only, fertilizer application will be taken up. And fertilizer selection is based on the soil reaction. Here soil reaction means it talks about the pH of the soil. Okay, acidic fertilizers are required for alkali soils. Okay, alkali or basic soils, and basic fertilizers are required for acidic soil. Why? See, 7 is the neutral pH, right? Less than 7 it is acidic, and more than 7 it is basic. We always want 7 pH of the soil. We do not here and there little less or little more, that is okay, but it should not be very highly acidic or highly basic. So if at all, if it is a basic soil, we have to reduce the pH. So to reduce the pH, we have to apply acidic fertilizers. Similarly, if the soil is acidic in condition, then we have to increase the pH by application of the basic fertilizers. Alright, so the third point is fertilizer application should be done near to the seed line. Say for example, if seeds are sown in line like this, if at all if we apply fertilizer far away, somewhere in between the rows, means that will not be available to the plant. So it should be just 3 to 4 mm away from the seed line, not more than that. It should be very near to the plant root or plant stem. Okay, and as we know that there are 3 important nutrients, primary nutrients like N, P, K, and among them P and K fertilizer should be applied as basal application. Basal means the entire amount of phosphorus and potassium, whatever it is recommended, we have to apply before sowing. Basal application means before sowing fertilizers are applied in the soil, so that is called as basal sowing, basal application. So these P and K should be applied before sowing only, because these are not subjected to loss like nitrogen. Nitrogen have many losses, unlike P and K. P and K do not have much of losses like nitrogen. That is why we can apply entire amount of P and K before sowing. But when it comes to nitrogenous fertilizers, we have to split the doses. Like if at all the recommended rate is say 120, 80, 60, we should apply entire amount of P and K, 80 and 60 kg of P and K, or whatever the fertilizer amount is there, we have to apply entirely. And this 120 kg we can split in doses. Say 40 kg once we can apply, and then 50 kg once we can apply. Okay, so and remaining 30 kg we can apply in some other time whenever the crop needs. So like that we can go for split doses. Okay, and here in the next point you can see, in case of heavy soil means clay soils. Okay, so in case of such soil, nitrogen fertilizer should be applied in split doses, just like what I told. 3 equal splits can be done. 1/3 as a basal dose, that is before sowing, 1/3 after 30 days after sowing, and rest 1/3 about 50 to 60 days after sowing. So like that we can split the nitrogenous fertilizer. Okay, and then irrigation after application of fertilizer is done, but flooding or excessive water application removes the nutrient. So when excessive amount of water is given, that leads to leaching of the nutrient. That is why we have to avoid flooding or excessive water application to the soil in such condition. And next point is top dressing is done after removal of excess water. Top dressing means what? When the crop is already standing in the field. Say nutrient application after 30 days after sowing or 60 days after sowing. That application after sowing when crop is already in the field, that we call it as a top dressing. Okay, so that has to be done after removal of the excess water. If excess water is there, definitely that nutrient goes as a waste there also. Alright, this basal dose of application that is applied to the soil, whereas this top dressing, no, that is usually done to the leaves, that is sprayed on the leaves. And in paddy field, nitrogenous fertilizers should be placed in reduced zone in order to reduce the nitrogen loss as case. Reduced zone means what? Where oxygen will not be present, right? When in paddy soil, as you know that the entire field will be filled with the water, right? When all the pores, all the soil pores are filled with the water, there won't be space for the oxygen to be present. So that condition we call it as a reduced condition. So if we put or incorporate fertilizer in reduced zone, then what happens? There won't be space for the oxygen to react with the fertilizer. So that will be anaerobic in condition, and there we can reduce the losses of nitrogen fertilizer. Okay, next one is in light or calcareous soil, micronutrients are usually deficient. Calcareous soil means these soils contain more amount of calcium carbonate. Okay, so those are calcareous soil. And light soil means like sandy soil. Okay, in sandy soil or calcareous soil, micronutrients are usually deficient. So we should go for micronutrient application also in such soil. And then if the problematic soils like acidic, sodic or alkali soils are there, we should be correcting that before sowing of the crop. Without correcting the problem of the soil, if you go for sowing, that crop will be failed ultimately. So before growing that crop only, we have to correct the condition. And in dry lands, fertilizers should be placed deeply. Why do you think the fertilizer should be placed deeply? Because in dry land, water is unavailable, it is deficient. So there will be some amount of soil moisture which is present in the deeper layers of the soil. Okay, so when we place fertilizer deep in the soil, at least some amount of moisture can react with the fertilizer and will be made available to the plant. That is why we have to place fertilizers deep in dry lands. Okay, second one is addition of organic manures or green manure should be done once in 3 to 5 years of time. Okay, organic manures or green manures because they help in fixing the atmospheric nitrogen. And weed management, weed free conditions should be maintained most of the time. Alright, so because what happens, if weeds are there, they'll take up more nutrient and water than the crop, and that will affect the crop ultimately. So we have to maintain weed free condition most of the times. And use of slow releasing nitrogenous fertilizers such as sulfur coated urea or urea super granules we can use wherever necessity is there. Or use of mud balls containing urea in deep water rice. Deep water rice means water will be standing about 1 meter over the surface of the soil, 1 meter above the surface of the soil. So there we can use mud balls, just like sulfur coated urea only, these mud balls will be there. So you can see here, these are the mud balls. Mud balls means inside these mud balls urea will be incorporated, and that will be made available slowly when mud gets dissolved. And here you can see the condition acidic soil, right? Acidic soils, the surface of the soil, it turns white in color. Here also you can see. So this has to be corrected before application of any fertilizer. And now coming to certain factors which will be affecting the nutrient use efficiency. Okay, so first factor is the kind of fertilizer. So how it is going to affect the nutrient use efficiency? One is nitrate, nitrogen are not ideal for sandy soil as applied nitrogen is lost by leaching. So we should avoid nitrate containing nitrogen of fertilizer. We should avoid in sandy soil because it will be lost by leaching. Next, ammonical forming fertilizers are ideal for lowland rice. Lowland rice means what? Where water will be standing in the soil, on the surface of the soil. Like whatever you see, conventional type of rice where always water will be standing in the field, no, that we call it as a lowland rice. So in such soils we have to go for ammonia type of fertilizer only. We should not give nitrate type of fertilizer there. And third one is acid forming fertilizers can be used for neutral and alkaline soils, obviously, right? Because in alkaline soil, if we want to reduce the pH, we have to apply acid forming fertilizer. Even for neutral soils we can apply in some cases. And SSP is best suited for neutral soils. SSP we can go for neutral soils. And next one is citrate soluble phosphorus is best for acid soils. Okay, see in phosphorus fertilizers there are two types. One is water soluble and citrate soluble. This SSP, DSP, whatever we learned, no, those come under water soluble fertilizers, and citrate soluble fertilizers are there like bone meal or rock phosphate. So those come under citrate soluble phosphorus. But don't worry about this. Just understand the basic principle of why which type of fertilizer is suitable to which type of soil. Next, quantity of fertilizers. Obviously we have to think of the quantity, right? During our calculation, fertilizer calculation, I told you that if we increase the fertilizer amount application, that will be toxic to the plant, right? So we have to maintain an proper amount of fertilizer application to the soil. So one is threshold dose. Threshold dose means minimum fertilizer for positive response. That means we'll take another that example only, like 120, 80, 60 is the recommended rate. So this 120 is based on the soil testing, this we know, right? So this is the minimum fertilizer which will give positive response. If we increase this rate of fertilizer, that will lead to the toxicity and ultimately the death of the plant. So that we have to look after. That is threshold dose, which means minimum fertilizer. In all the recommendations, whatever the recommendations are given, those are the minimum dose only, threshold dose only, which will give positive response. Alright. So second one is minimum recommended dose, positive response with maximum profit per rupees invested in fertilizer application. So minimum recommended dose, whatever it gives positive response with maximum profit, it should be invested in fertilizer application. These two are the same thing. Okay, do not get confused. This minimum fertilizer dose which is applied for positive response, no, that is to get maximum profit only per rupees, whatever the rupees or money we have invested in fertilizer purchase and all. Okay, and third one is optimum dose, which means quantity of nutrient applied for realizing maximum benefit. Okay, optimum dose and threshold dose are almost the same. Only thing is, in optimum dose the fertilizer rate can be little higher. Okay, quantity of nutrient which is applied for realizing maximum benefit, that means we are getting maximum benefit out of it. And yield maximizing dose means quantity applied to get higher yield, more than expected. To get such yield, what we get, that dose we call it as a yield maximizing dose. Okay, so as I told you, this minimum dose for positive response. Positive response means little amount of yield will be higher. And optimum dose means what? Maximum benefit, maximum profit, what we should be getting. To get that, whatever the amount we are applying, that is nutrient for realizing maximum benefit. And yield maximizing dose means which is applied to get higher yield than expected. And third one is frequency of application. That means how often we are applying the fertilizer to the field. So number of application depends on nature of soil and duration of the crop. So obviously, if the soil is light in condition like sandy soil, nutrient will not be held by the soil particles tightly, so it will go as a waste. So in such soils we have to apply fertilizer more often. But in clay soils, what happens? Since the soil particles are small and they can hold the fertilizer for a longer period, in such soils we can avoid application of fertilizer so often. Okay, and also duration of the crop. If it is a long durated crop, so we have to go for many number of application. If it is a short durated, 1 or 2 times are enough. Okay, so higher quantity of fertilizer can be applied to heavy soils at longer intervals, because ability to retain nutrients for longer time in this here should be a full point. Okay, so higher quantity of fertilizer can be applied to heavy soils like clay soils at longer interval. Longer interval means say 2 months after or 3 months after we can go for that, because the soil has the capacity to retain the nutrients for longer period. But sandy soil requires frequent application to minimize leaching losses. As I told you, sandy soil cannot hold the nutrients so tightly. That's why we have to go for more often number of application in such soil. And fourth one is time of application. So all the fertilizers are recommended as basal application for rain-fed crops grown on stored soil moisture. Stored soil moisture means the crop which is being grown in Rabi season. Rabi season we cannot get rainfall like rainy season, right? So the whatever the moisture is present, that is being stored from Kharif season only. So that is stored soil moisture. So in such condition, all the nutrients, all the fertilizer can be applied as a basal application only. But in rainy season we can avoid nitrogen complete basal application and we can go for split application there. And early application is more effective for short duration crops. We have to go for early application. If not, since duration of the crop itself is very small, then if we delay the application of fertilizer, then it won't be available to the plant. So that's why we have to early apply the fertilizer there. And fifth one is the placement of fertilizer. So where we are placing the fertilizer, which plays an important role there. So placement of fertilizer in the root zone improves the efficiency of phosphorus fixation in acid soil can be minimized by placement of water soluble fertilizers. Okay, actually here should be the full point. So placement of fertilizer in the root zone, it improves the efficiency. Okay, if we apply other than the root zone, far away from the root zone, then efficiency will be reduced. And phosphorus fixation in acid soils can be minimized by placement of water soluble fertilizers. Okay, do not get confused. This needs a lot of explanation. Do not get worried about this point. Okay, just let it be. Okay, just remember that in acid soils phosphorus will be fixed in the clay minerals, so that has to be minimized by placement of water soluble fertilizers, water soluble phosphorus fertilizers. Next point is for lowland rice, ammonical fertilizer should be placed in reduced zone to avoid losses of nitrogen. So this I have already explained you. And in dryland place, the fertilizer at 5 to 10 centimeter below the surface of the soil can be done, because soil moisture will be available for longer period in dry land. Okay, these 2 points I have already explained in the previous slides. You can go back and check again. Now to increase the nutrient use efficiency, usually what happens, the nutrient use efficiency in our country is really poor. because of the placement or because of the fertilizer, because of so many reasons our efficiency is too low, but we have to increase that. Like per unit fertilizer whatever we are applying, the yield should be increased, otherwise that's a loss to the farmer. So there are some measures to be used to increase the nutrient use efficiency. So in that first comes the method of application. So how can we increase by method of application? One is split application of the fertilizer, just like what I explained about the nitrogen. If you go for split application, that will be helpful. Plow sole placement means what? You can see here, if in this picture you can see, if we are sowing in that particular line, means we have to place the fertilizer there only. Okay, we should not place somewhere else. Next is localized placement. Localized means where plant is there, just near to the root we have to place the fertilizer. That is localized placement. And drilled placement, in some cases what happens, when crop is growing, we can drill the soil, we can remove some amount of soil, and then we can drop the fertilizer, place the fertilizers there, and then we can cover the soil. So that is drilled placement. Next is band application. Band application means what? You can see here, a band is nothing but just like one line, entire line of the fertilizer. So here you can see, this is the soil surface and seed is there. Okay, seed is one side, and the other side there is fertilizer band. If there is another seed here, means this entire band will be continuing. Okay, this can be placed deeper in the soil or just beside the seed line. That is band application, just like one whole single line which is being applied, that is band. Okay, and next is pellet application, pellet placement. These pellets, as you can see, these will be just like small chalk pieces. These can be placed near to the stem, and these release nutrient very slowly and will be made available to the plant. And second one is, either we can change our method of fertilizer application, or we can go for liquid fertilizers. Okay, liquid fertilizers like starter solution. Starter solution means here low concentration of fertilizers can be used for soaking the seeds, dipping the roots for early establishment of crop growth. Okay, instead of utilizing the solid fertilizers directly in the field, we can go for liquid fertilizers. And in that, starter solution means what? Just to soak the seeds or to dip the roots before transplanting or before sowing, we can use the fertilizer as a starter solution for that. Second is foliar application. Foliar application means what? When already crop is standing, as I just told you, like a top dressing and foliar application are the one and the same. So nutrients can be applied to the standing crop in the form of spray for quick recovery from the deficiency. Okay, also to avoid fixation of nutrient in the soil. So that can be done, foliar application, when crop is already in the field. Soil application of liquid fertilizers like anhydrous ammonia are directly applied to the soil with injecting equipment. So liquid fertilizer can be applied to the soil also, instead of the leaves or the foliar, that can be applied to soil also with the help of injecting equipments. Okay, so next one is the fertigation. Fertigation means it is combination of fertilizer and irrigation. Fertilizer plus irrigation, we call it as fertigation. Okay, so application of fertilizer through irrigation water, either open or in the closed system, lined or unlined open ditches, sprinkler or drip, anywhere we can use this system, fertigation. Okay, do not think much about these systems, these are irrigation system, do not worry. Okay, just understand we can go for fertigation also, like mixture of fertilizer in the irrigation water, so to decrease the loss of our fertilizer. Okay, here you can see this is the foliar application. Okay, spraying on the plant, and this is fertilizer fertigation, where in the drip system fertilizer can be added. Okay, so third one Third one is balanced fertilizer application. Balanced means what? Adequate amount of nutrient is required for realizing maximum yield. So if it is 120 60 80 60 given means we have to follow this only. We should not increase the fertilizer rate. If we are increasing this to 150 and if we are reducing this to 60 and if we are increasing this to 70, then this is unbalanced. Balanced means whatever the recommended rate is there, we have to follow that only to realize or to get the maximum yield. Otherwise it is just a waste. And next one is the integrated nutrient management. Integrated nutrient management means what? It is the combination of different fertilizers. Like we have organic manures, we have green manures, we have biofertilizers along with chemical fertilizers. When we are using all these types of fertilizer, then it is called as a integrated. Integration means it is the combination of many different methods. So we can use either organic or chemical or mixture of both, so that can be used. So that is also one of the method to increase the nutrient use efficiency. And this ends the nutrient use efficiency chapter. Okay, I know this is little difficult for you to understand, but try to learn this since it is very important. And if you are from a farming family, then you should tell your father or grandfather, whoever is practicing agriculture, to minimize the application of fertilizer and to increase the use efficiency. So that will be helpful by just by learning these things. Like even when you are going to be a agricultural graduate, then you should be knowing all these things to just to suggest small things to farmer. That will help a farmer in a really big manner. Okay, so that's about the nutrient use efficiency. Thank you.